This is the I Read Comic Books podcast, the very best podcast for regular comic book fans. I am your host, Mike Rapin. Joining me this week, the 3 cards I need to make a royal flush in this hand of poker. This week, I'm joined by my good friend, Paul Jasley.
Hello, humanoids.
And our special guests for this episode, comic book creators, Henry Barajas.
Hello.
And Rachel Merrill.
Hi.
Thank you all for joining me. I am so excited to talk about comic books. We've had a week off. I don't know, you guys maybe listened to the Fantagraphics episode that we had last week. I'm going to be talking about another Fantagraphics book. But before we get into talking about comic books, we have 2 special guests on this episode that we need to introduce. Henry and Rachel, thank you both so much for joining us today. For folks at home who don't know who you are and what you do, could you tell us a little bit about yourselves and what you guys have been working on? Let's start with Rachel. Let's start with you.
I'm the artist for Gil Thorpe that Henry writes, and we also co-created Death To Pachuco together. I did the interior art, and Lee Ridge did the colors.
Amazing. And Henry, who are you? What are you doing?
Who am I? Are you sure you want to know? My story isn't for the faint of heart. I'm Henry Barajas. I am a author who gets to work with Rachel on Gil Thorpe and Death To Pachuco. I have a new series coming out called Huelga, the stories of Dolores Huerta and Sal Castro in August. It's a recollection of some educational comics I have worked on with Louis Chen, Gab Contreras, and Jay Gonzo for the Department of Education in New York City. And we're excited to have it out for the public. And it's only been in classrooms in New York City, so it's good to finally get those stories out.
That's so cool. Well, thank you both for joining us this week. Really excited to talk about, I think, your collected book, Death To Pachuco, later. But before we get into that, I have 2 legally mandated questions that I have to ask for this podcast. That is, how have you been? How have comic books been? What have you been reading? Henry, let's start with you.
It's been it's been a journey. I mean, Rachel and I went through going through making Death To Pachuco for the last couple of years. At least it was 1 full year, right, Rachel?
I mean, I guess it feels like it was a journey through the desert of like 20 technically, I think it was a year, technically.
Because I remember launching Death To Pachuco right before getting on a plane to Thought Bubble, the Kickstarter. Mm-hmm. And then, so this was 2024. We launched the Kickstarter, so we were working on it before then. And then all of 2024, we were working on it. And then the first issue came out in October. And then it was a 5-month sprint of getting it out there with no delays. Every issue came out when it said it came out.
That's
by the skin of our teeth.
Sometimes less than that.
Less skin, enamel. No enamel.
Henry landed the plane, come hell or high water.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the things, because this was Rachel's first big book, and she's done other incredible work, but I think there was a lot of pressure on you, right, to do something this big, and there was a lot of patience between the both of us and with our colorist, who would spit out pages in 3 days.
It was nuts. He was the MVP of deadlines. I mean, we'd be we have 72 hours, and he's gets it done in 4.
Yeah.
Wow. It was nuts.
He has incredible flatter too. So, and then we had, Will Dennis, and there was also a wrangling of cats that were cover artists. So it's just one of those things where it's kind of it feels like coming down from a drug addiction, and you're trying to figure out your life now, what do you, how do you keep, but thankfully we still have Gil Thorpe that we're still doing. So to answer your question, how am I doing? I'm just it's nice to have some time, but it's also trying to figure out how to figure out what's the next thing, and how does my life get wrapped up in something else again.
Gotcha. You're just looking for your next hit. I got it. I hear you.
Yeah, my very expensive hit.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I meant hit to your wallet. That's what I was trying to say.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Cool. Well, have you been reading anything interesting? Any comics that you want to talk about with us, real quick?
Well, I mean, this last week I haven't been able to read the monthly stuff that I love, like Power. I'm really
Sure.
really loving Powers 25. That's a really fun book. I think Powers is kind of one of those seminal like comics for me that like gave me like there was a period we were like off before this started. We were talking about superhero movies and talking about how like for me like when I was like when I was 18, Iron Man came out, and like Batman Begins was like right before that, and The Dark Knight. So there was a lot of like seminal movies that kind of like was like very important to me. And now at my like ripe 37-year-old age, I'm kind of like less excited about that stuff, which like kind of feels a little sorry. But I love film and I get to see a lot of films. But for me, like Powers was that like, oh, comics can be more than superheroes. While they are still superheroes, there is like something that can be like expounded upon in this genre that feels a little more I don't know, just more cinematic, I think.
Yeah. I mean, and the fact that like what Bendis and Michael Avon Oeming have been working on that book for 25 years is crazy to think about, right? That is like a Hellboy style. I mean, not on and off for 25 years, but like still, it is wild to think that book has been around for so long. Because I remember I'm basically in the same boat as you, Henry. Where I think we were exactly the same age, probably by a few days in my head. That's where I'm at. And it's funny because Iron Man and Batman Begins all shaped me, but I feel like Powers was also one of those books. It was like that and Invincible side by side. I was like, oh, these you can do other things with superhero-ish comics, right? And superpowers and stuff. It's very cool.
But a friend of mine, Ezra Clayton Daniels, put out a new book called Mama Came Calling, and it's such a like Ezra is to me like one of the best comic book writers and writers just period who can. There's a lot of people that like haven't figured it out yet in a way that like he has, that like lyric like dialogue can almost be like lyrics. It can be like a sing-song kind of rhythm to what he's doing. But I really hope people can check that out. It's called Mama Came Calling, illustrated by Camilla Sugri. It's this like Florida horror kind of swampy like big graphic novel. But what I am really reading and what I'm really into right now is City Hunter. And it's such a like I love the anime, and it is that like pervert trope that a lot of like that is kind of tired, but like this was kind of like, you know, in the 80s, this was coming out in the 80s, so it's just like this beautiful like. And Rachel, have you read this before? Have we talked about this?
No, but I was gonna recommend something based on what you just described. Tell me
like,
more.
You're like, it's like everybody, it's like 80s city pop fashion of just like everyone looks like they're walking off like, you know, runway or a magazine, and it's so beautiful. But it's also like, I don't know, every issue and every story is the same. Like the city hunter character is like confronted with like this beautiful girl having a problem. He tries to look up her skirt and someone beats him over the head with a comically large sledgehammer, but he's like has a heart of gold and like figures out the crime.
Aside from the sexual assault.
Yeah, aside from the sexual assault, which was okay then, I guess, but it's such a beautiful comic.
I'm familiar with the Jackie Chan film adaptations. I'm familiar with that.
I could not get through like 5 minutes of that because it's poorly dubbed.
Yeah.
Paul didn't say that he liked it. He just said that he's seen it.
No, I think I heard him say it's his favorite movie.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, great. I mean, I looked this up while you were talking, and the Google AI summary, which is bullshit. I hate the Google AI summary, but sometimes it is funny. It says City Hunter is a quote legendary action comedy manga series, which I'm like, all right, you know, like that is high 100%. Praise for a computer.
Yeah. It really is.
Interesting. Is this, so this is all collected in like these specialized like omnibuses, I'm guessing?
Yeah, so they're re-releasing all of his work in English for the first time. So nice. There is the incredible anime, which is on Crunchyroll, which if you love anime, and it's such a beautiful series. But the manga is so much more, you know, more detailed and.
Gotcha.
But yeah. That's a comic
thanks.
technically, so I think.
Yeah, I mean, no, it is absolutely. Thanks for the rec. I mean, I feel weird about the premise, but at the same time, you know, it's one of those things where you're like, at the beginning of Dragon Ball, it was a little weird.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, like we kind of moved past it. Anyways, let's move on. Rachel, I have those 2 legally mandated questions for you. How have you been? How have comic books been? What have you been reading?
I'm good. I'm like I said, coming out of R&R, and so I'm a little bit more not constantly sleeping like 12 hours a day
Sure.
for a medical procedure. But I've, like I said, the nice thing though has been I've been getting to read a huge amount because since Henry and I started working together, he has been really gracious about letting me know how lacking in my comic knowledge is. But one of my girlfriends years ago got me the first 3 of the Sailor Moon manga because she knew what a huge fan I was of the anime. And I am now reading it. Like 4 years later, I am finally reading it. And I was just like drinking a beer the other night and was just like hooting and hollering. It is so fucking funny.
Yes.
Like I think that is my superhero comic. That's my favorite superhero comic now that I think about it. Because it's you know, it's so over the top girly, which of course I love. But my favorite thing, the thing I think makes it so genius is that, you know, Sailor Moon's like the chosen one, but she's also a jackass. And the way it starts out, she's like, oh, you're one of the guardians for this really important person who's way smarter than you. And now they're gonna it's watching the slow train of when they all realize that she's actually the chosen princess. She's so dumb, like she's just such a jackass. And I really just deeply relate. There's this part where she reintroduces herself because it was serialized, and she's like, my name's Usagi, my hobbies are eating, napping, and taking the easy way out. And I'm like, that's going on all my resumes going.
Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah, I just like that really, like, yes, I feel so seen right now.
I like how you say I've been like harassing you about not reading enough
I did not
comics.
say harassing, I said graciously
harassing you day and night. And
Batman Year One was good. That was a good rack.
You finally read it.
I told you when I read that. Read that a year ago.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That was great. Highly recommend. Yeah. I know, controversial opinion.
Yeah. I love Sailor Moon. A friend of ours on the show, Kara Shamborski, who's been on the a regular panelist on the show for a long time, finally pushed me to read Sailor Moon a while back, and I loved it so much. It was one of the funniest comics I'd read, and it's so long. Like Sailor Moon is such a funny character, and I love that, like you said, that her whole thing is like, I just want to nap, I just want to slack off. Oh, I have to be this hero. Oh man, I have to get out of bed to be a hero.
She's
like
a teenage girl. I love it. Exactly.
So I'm glad that you're enjoying it as well, because I think it only gets better. I only read the first volume, but like, but I guess you said you're familiar with the anime, so yeah, I don't know. Are you excited to see the portrayal of some of your favorite characters in the manga?
I mean, yeah, like I always like wanted to be Sailor Mars growing up because I was in denial about what an absolute jackass slacker I was as a student. But now I see I'm way more Usagi than Sailor Mars, except I'm also have a temper, as you guys saw earlier. But I was delighted by Sailor Mars's portrayal. Just like, you know, extremely mean, extremely like quit fucking around. Like, yeah, she's great. So yeah, Sailor Mars has just appeared in the towards the end of the first volume, and she could not have exceeded my expectations more.
That's great. Well, if you continue on, or assuming you continue on, you have to get back to us. Come back on the show. Let us know how far you get in your Sailor Moon journey. I'd love to hear your thoughts. But Paul, let me kick over to you. How have you been? How have comic books been?
Things have been great here. We're finally getting some summer-like temperatures here in West Michigan, so I'm trying to spend time outside as much as I can, soak up that sunshine, because I know it's rare to come by here in Michigan sometimes. So, but I feel like every time I'm on the show, I mention I have a huge stack of comics I have to get to. I have a pile of weekly comics I'm still struggling to get through that I picked up way back on Free Comic Book Day, and of course, the past week I ignored them all and just binge read a bunch of Judge Dredd comics instead. So I got caught up on about 3 months worth of 2000 AD progs, just reading the Dredd strips from those. So I wanted to shout out a couple ones that I really liked, a couple storylines. One was Climate Crisis by Rob Williams and Ned Hartley with art by PJ Holden. That ran like five progs. And it's the brief synopsis is that a face-changing criminal and his mysterious accomplice hijack a weather control satellite to extort the rich and powerful of Mega City 1. It's a Judge Dredd take on climate change. Very fun story. The one after that I really liked was called Flames and White Phosphorus by T.C. Edlington and Paul Marshall. That ran progs 2476 through 2479. That was like an interesting story about these two young women who start a vigilante crusade against a cabal of powerful elites in Mega City 1. They start setting these arsons to get back at these people who had basically abused one of their sisters. But it turns out they were never, the crimes that they had alleged committed were never investigated because they were powerful people who supplied weapons to the judges, technology weapons to the judges. So it's the main villain had a passing resemblance to Elon Musk. There's some Jeffrey Epstein type stuff in there. So it's a contemporary story, which I think Dredd is really good at doing. Like, here's a contemporary issue that we're going to address as a Judge Dredd story. But the one I really kind of wanted to talk about the most was the Omelette, which just started at last two progs. It's a part of a big crossover between 2000 AD and the Judge Dredd magazine. And the story opens up with Judge Dredd in a hell-like dungeon, and he's fighting orcs. I'm like, all right, that's not something you usually see in a Judge Dredd comic. And I really liked it because there's an economy to Judge Dredd storytelling, because they only have like 8 pages to get that chapter of the story done. There's like a 28 panel page of him just fighting orcs. I was like, this is great. I love this.
What is this, a Tom Scioli comic? Come on.
Yeah, exactly. So written by Ken Neiman with art by Dan Cornwell. It's Judge Dredd in hell. He's not sure why he's there. He's trying to find a way to out. In the meantime, it ties into a larger story in the Judge Dredd magazine called The Black Tower, also written by Ken Neiman with art by Nick Percival. That's in issue 492 of the magazine. And in that story, Judge Rico wakes up or is looking for answers about a mysterious tower that appeared in Mega City 1. Rico feels like he's someone else, but he just can't remember who. So those of you who have read Judge Dredd or have seen the Stallone movie, you know that Judge Rico is Judge Dredd's clone brother. So in this story, it's like an alternate, right? I assume that was common knowledge. I just want to make sure,
right.
I didn't leave him out.
Oh, Rico. I know Rico.
Yeah.
Judge Rico. His brother Joseph Dredd and his brother Rico. It's kind of like an alternate reality thing where it's like Judge Dredd, no one remembers him. Like one of the precognitive psychic judges asked to get a judge to investigate the Black Tower. Judge Rico shows up. She's like, you're not the right one. So Judge Dredd's been forgotten in this timeline, been replaced by Rico. It's alternate reality shenanigans, which I think is, again, kind of unusual in Judge Dredd. But what I like about reading a big chunk of Judge Dredd comics like this is like, you can do a straightforward crime story about corruption. You can do a little one and done story. One of the stories I read was about basically a living human taxidermy display who witnesses a crime in Mega City 1. It's like a little one and done silly story. But you can also do an alternate reality sci-fi story where Judge Dredd is fighting orcs, and it all makes sense. Like it all fits together. Like the character works in any circumstance. So it's really fun to read this stuff back to back to back. This bigger story that they're doing between the Omelette and the Black Tower, between the two magazines, I think it's gonna run a while. So I'm very curious to see how that story unfolds. But yeah, I'm back on my Judge Dredd kick. Those who've listened to the show for a while know there was a couple years ago where that's basically all I was reading. Was Judge Dredd comics. So I'm back on it.
Did you read the book that Mulcher wrote?
Yeah, about the policing. Yeah. I'm blanking on the name. It's on my bookshelf in the other room. But yeah, that's a great book.
It's like Judge Dredd predicted now or whatever. I mean, it's not. That's what it is. But it's
weird.
incredible. I feel like leave it to the British to write these like amazing books about American history and how Judge Dredd predicted it.
Yeah,
they've got a keen eye for these kinds of things. From the Judge Dredd that I've read, like Paul for a while was pushing Dredd pretty hard on everybody on the show, and I fell into his ways. And so I read a bunch of stuff, and it was fantastic. Like I'm not saying that Judge Dredd is bad by any means. It's a lot, but it is crazy to see how they portray things as like commentary on what's happening in Western society, whether that's in Britain or in the United States or a mix of both or whatever. But Rachel, have you read any Judge Dredd? Are you familiar with the movies or anything like that?
I only have a very cursory knowledge of Judge Dredd, so a lot of this is over my head.
That's all right.
But no, but you are correct about, or you guys are definitely onto something about how crazy it is. English authors kind of just being ahead of the curve on this, like in prose and in comics.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's because they have more like universities or whatever, like they just like all have.
They got a head start on writing before us, I guess.
Oh, totally. Yeah, there's like there's like an Oxford fucking castle on every corner out there.
Yeah. I was gonna say there's something about the satire as well. They're able to address these issues in a dark gallows humor satirical way. Like I think I like the most recent Dredd movie. I say recent, it's 14 years old at this point, but that last Dredd movie, it's a little too grim for me because the comics, as silly as serious as they can be, there is a sort of like dark humor and satire to them that makes those stories work better, I think. So it feels a very distinctly British style of humor as well.
For sure. It just makes me want to go back and read all those blogs that we've been sitting on for forever, man.
You should just rename this podcast. I read Judge Dredd comic books.
We were very close. Listen, we've done sub-series called I Read Star Wars comic books. I mean, like there are sub-series within this show, I promise. We created its perfect comic book podcast name where you can kind of insert whatever comics you want in between those two sections. But let me talk about a book that I've been reading. Things have been wild in my house, as people may know. Just had a baby, so just living life, trying to do that. Thank you. It's great. I've been reading a lot of picture books that are not comic books, a lot of big, thick cardboard books. And I'll say, here's the thing about those books. I promise, folks, I'm not going to turn this podcast into Mike just reads children's books and talks about them. But some of the books back in the 70s that they wrote, like the Dr. Seuss, not written by Dr. Seuss style books that they made for small children, pretty good stuff, like genuinely funny stuff. I don't know what they were on back in the 70s, but it was much better than the bullshit that's getting published right now. It's way too just plain. The books in the 70s actually had humor and character. But anyways, I did read a book that is full of humor and character. And that is Talking to My Father's Ghost, the Eisner-nominated book written by Alex Krokus. You may be familiar.
I love his work. His work is so good.
His work is so funny. Incredible comic that he posts online called Loud and Smart. But this is a book that he wrote about his father's passing. I've been reading Krokus's work for a little while. I think when I did this big old Silver Sprocket subscription, they like sent me a bunch of PDFs to say, hey, here's your, welcome to the club. Here's some books you can read right now. And one of them was Loud and Smart. And I remember laughing, crying, sitting at my desk. His comics are just so funny. 4 panel pages. So when I saw this was coming out, I was like, I got to buy a copy. And I had to buy a copy from the Strand so I could get it signed, right? For folks that are watching at home, you can see it's signed. Not that matters or anything, but the story itself follows Krokus as he documents the 2-page vignettes, bits and pieces of his life, the moments just before and for about the year after his father's passing. It's not like day by day. I think these are just like highlighted moments that he wanted to talk about, where it's like him and his brother and his mom kind of grieving together. But like every single page or every single panel their little story is funny. Like everyone ends with a little punchline, just like all of his comics do online. So it's interesting to see someone talk about something that could be and is for many very, very dark and a hard time in your life, right? Like a parent passes away, and just for folks out there, content warning, if you do pick this book up, it does mention cancer and hospice care. And so that's something that's triggering for you, just let you know. But there's a dark subject matter at the core of this, but Krokus finds a way to make every single page, every single story funny in some capacity, right? Like him and his brother travel out to Arizona to go find this land that his dad bought way back in the day, and their car breaks down, and they're like, why did we do this? It's kind of depressing because they were just trying to do something nice to remember their dad. Throughout the book, it's very embellished in some ways, obviously, because his dad shows up as kind of a ghost that he's talking to. And, we all deal with grief in different ways. And so him doing things and seeing his father's ghost in those moments, they're very sweet, very sad. It's a really fantastic book. And from start to finish, you're kind of like, how are you able to spend this whole book writing these stories that are clearly very emotional and find a way to get a punchline in there every single time, not taking like poking fun at himself or his family or whatever, just like making light out of something that is incredibly sad. And so I found it really amazing. It's a fantastic book. Honestly, I understand why it was nominated for the Eisner. Like from start to finish, you're just like, oh, you loved your family, or you love your family, you loved your father so much. You made one of the most perfect ways to like recognize that care and love that you had for them. I really liked it. Like, and there's,
Nice.
I don't know, it's very, very well done. It's super short. It's really funny. And I mean, I cried a bunch just because my dad passed away. It's a whole thing. And I'm just like, oh, this is like how you show you care to your friends and family. It's you do something like this. So if you get a chance, I highly recommend it. I hope it wins the Eisner. It deserves it, but it's up against some pretty tough books. So I think it's up against like Drome and stuff. Like,
oh yeah, sorry.
Like, I know it's tough. No, I'd have to look up the list. We're doing an Eisner's episode. We'll talk about that more on the Eisner's episode that we're doing. But yeah, I really, really like this guy. And if you like Krokus's work already, you will love this book because it's the same sense of humor. All familiar characters are in it because he portrays himself as a little raccoon. So like he's portrayed himself and his family previously. So it's funny to see them like go out of his little 4-panel strip comic into this book. But yeah, highly recommended if you get a chance. But that's what I've been reading. That's what I've been up to. You guys have seen Krokus's work online, right? Just we're all on the same page here. Okay.
Following his stuff since 2013.
Whew, okay.
Before I even started trying to do work professionally. Yeah, he's a great animator too. Like check out any of his animation stuff. That's what he was known for more before comics. But yeah, I've been a mega fan of his for like a decade plus. So I'm delighted to see everyone catching on.
Yeah. So I just looked up the best graphic memoir piece, and he's up against like Raised by Ghost, Precious Rubbish. It rhymes with Takai. Like, it's gonna be
Good
tough,
books.
man. Yeah, dude, it's gonna be a tough battle for
You
folks.
lost
at the Eisner.
Krokus. No, I don't know.
It's a tough guy.
I just like the name Krokus.
Right.
Yeah, he's considered being like one of the very cool kids at the Brooklyn comic scene. So he's doing just fine, guys.
Yeah, I mean,
He already won.
He's winning life for sure. Like he's hanging out with James Tynan, all those folks who are hanging out in Brooklyn doing cool
I wonder
things,
what they're doing right now.
I'll ask. I'm going to Brooklyn later.
Yeah.
So.
Oh yeah, please ask.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah, let us know, Rachel. Well, let's move on. Let's talk about comics that are on the top of our pile, books that we're looking to read that are either new or old or just something you're trying to get off the shelf. I do want to shout out our good pal Danny, who is hanging out with us today on Discord. Danny's going to be reading The Dead Man #1 from DC by W. Maxwell Prince and Martin Morazzo.
Nice.
Good friends of the show. I can't wait to read that book, and it was going to be my pick, but I decided to not go the route that everybody expected me to and pick a different book. But before we talk about what I'm reading next, Henry, what is on the top of your pile this week? What are you looking forward to read next?
Oh, well, I mean, for me, I really am into this this manga. I want to finish this series, but I want to read the previous series, Cat's Eye.
Oh, by the same creator?
Okay. Yeah, same creator. It's like these French jewel thieves. I just love like fashionable manga. Really, just when people look so cool. It's just I was born in the wrong era and not in the right country or time, and I'm a real person, unfortunately. But my buddy Joaquin Murrieta has a new series out that I have a couple of the issues stacked up. The Raphael Henchman series. I have a copy of Mimi Pon's Mitford Sister. It's sitting on top of my shelf that I need to get to. Who was also nominated for an Eisner. Shout out to Mimi. There's this. That's what I love about comics. There's never, there's so many to get through. I just checked out from the library. I got a library card at the Burbank Library branch, and I got the like comics illustrations of Alex Toth. It's like this like huge.
Oh, nice.
That's what I'm reading right now. Sorry.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, stop interrupting me. No, go ahead. You have it right there.
Genius isolated.
Yeah.
Oh,
no,
wow.
I got the comics one. So they have the other ones. I will look them up when I'm done with this one.
Nice. Speaking of fashionable manga series, I guess, have you read Inali and Duelia by the creator of Witch Hat Atelier?
No,
have you read?
You'll have to send that to me.
I'll have to say, I only bring that up because that book it's about an angel and a demon. I pitched this on the show many times, so sorry, listeners, but it's about an angel and a demon who are like friends who live on Earth, and they kind of like have to do angel and demon-y things to like do their jobs, right? So an angel tries to do good, the evil demon tries to do bad, but both of them love fashion and like hanging out in Paris and like doing fashionable things in Japan and just like shopping and just basic things. And so the whole book is beautifully illustrated, like page after page after page of just like unbelievably detailed, gorgeous single page splashes, double page splashes of these two, this angel and demon, just hanging out on Earth and trying to live their best lives, but they also have to go to stupid work and they have to do angel and demon things. It's very cute, but like from a fashion perspective, like clearly, what's the art? Komami Shirahama, I have her other book up here. She does a fantastic job of just like making sure that these two characters are dressed to the nines in every single page. It's fantastic. I think you dig it, is what I'm trying to say. So I'll send you a link to that after we finish recording. Yeah. But Rachel, let's move on to you. What are you reading next? What's on the top of your pile?
Well, like I said, I jumped onto what Henry's answer was, but I since I knew I had some R&R, I got some out of print Alex Toth, so I'm reading this right now, which is mostly his comic work, and then
what's the name of that?
This one is Genius Isolated. It's the first in the series. It's out of print, but if you go on eBay, you can find like a decent priced one, which is what I did.
Okay.
Nice.
And then there's Genius Illustrated, which I think is what Henry's on. And then Genius Animated, which was the first I got, since that's what I was most familiar with. And like, Sailor Moon and like Ayazawa's like Paradise Kiss and Nana are kind of like content wise, like my bread and butter, like writing style. Like that's like what I really gravitate towards. But like the way I want to draw is it's Alex Toth, it's Satoshi Kon. It's like I really love. I'm sure much smarter people than me have been able to describe Alex Toth's work better, but I really like that it's realism, like abstracted in the true sense, and that it's gets rid of a lot of erroneous detail, but there's still a lot of depth, and it's still clearly rooted in reality. And like, I definitely don't think he drew everything from his head, but a lot of it's from his head. Like, you can just like sort of tell once you do this for a living, and just trying to like absorb how he did it. And a lot of it is just like animation, rote memorization and confidence. And also, for him being a genius. So it's just incredibly inspiring going through these comic book pages. A lot of the stories are kind of like, but the art is so stunning. So I'm just like pouring through it like they're blueprints for how to be a better artist.
That's great.
I think his work is just, so many artists love his work because of that economy of style. Like he does so much with so little, and it's really inspiring to see. Like I'm basically mostly familiar with the Super Friends stuff he did, because he did the designs for the cartoons and did some of the comics. And that's like the first comics I remember seeing, or my first exposure to superheroes was Super Friends. So that stuff's always kind of embedded in my brain. It's like, that's what those characters look like. And it's his style for sure.
Yeah. And it's, they really like relied on that so much because they had no money. So it's all poorly animated, but because they have such ferociously fantastic designs, kids still like them. And then, they can be reused as they brilliantly were for Adult Swim, like the reason why those designs are still being reused because they're brilliant designs. And it's just, for like I said, for me, I knew his animation stuff, and that was like the jump in, but I've just been blown away by his comics. I mean, like, oh, I'm going to steal this for the next thing Henry and I do, or I'm going to do this for our next Gilthorpe. Like, I mean, just, like kicking myself that I didn't know about these books 10 years ago.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
This guy drew Space Ghost, so I'm in.
I love it. Exactly. Yeah. This guy drew Space Ghost. I'm in.
Well, that's cool. That's I was not. I think I've seen drawings by this guy before, but I was not aware of the name. So I appreciate you guys bringing it to my attention. That's great. But Paul, let's move over to you. What's on the top of your pile?
Well, once I get through all the floppies I mentioned earlier that have been sitting around my apartment for the past month, I'll get through all those. And when I go to the shop next, I'll grab Exquisite Corpses number 13 by James Tynion, art by Michael Walsh, colors by Jody Belair, and letters by Becca Carey. I really like this series, and this is kind of the conclusion of the first season, as they're calling it, of Exquisite Corpses. It's an overall really enjoyable book, but it is uneven by the very nature of how it's made. So that doesn't bother me so much. So if you're not familiar with what the book is, Tynion and a few of the creators, they basically would finish an issue of the story, then hand it off to the creative team. Hence the title Exquisite Corpse, like that parlor game where you start a story, hand off to somebody else to take the next issue, they hand off to somebody else. So you have different creators kind of picking up where the story left off, doing what they want with it, then giving it to somebody else to take to the next part of the story. The main premise of the story is that there's 5 wealthy families who kind of control the government or control, the country. They send their representatives to fight to the death in an unsuspecting small town. Classic story setup. It's tale as old as time. But it's such a simple story. It really lends itself to that type of story construction, and it sets up a sort of tournament style. So whoever is writing the story gets to determine who wins that tournament. Kind of set up the ending as we're reaching that conclusion here. And I think what I like about the story so much is it's less about the competitors in the tournament, and it's how the real people in the town of Oak Valley, they're not real people, they're fictional characters in the story. Sure. The people in the town of Oak Valley, Maine, where the story is set, how they react and how they survive. So it becomes sort of this like survival horror story with the sort of competitive tournament twist. I really enjoyed it. Probably not for everybody. It is excessively violent at times, and I just think that's the nature of the story itself. But I'm curious to see how it concludes and what they decide to do next with this premise.
Yeah, I have so many thoughts about this series that we could do an entire mini series on it. Questions, conspiracies, so much going on. There's a board game that came out, or a role-playing game of some kind. I don't know. They're going hard on this series. I think that they're... Sorry, say again, Harry?
I think it's a card game.
Card game. That's okay. Right. It looks bonkers. They're like really doubling down on the marketing about it. It's so interesting because like the premise is there. Like I totally get why you would do it, and it makes so much sense. Like it feels like the perfectly concocted series for what it is. I really am impressed by it. Like they really fired on a lot of cylinders on this, but I have so many thoughts about it, but we won't get into it now, lest we waste the rest of today's discussion. But before we get into some questions about Death to Pachuco, I got one more book I need to talk about, which is the book that's on the top of my pile. That is Ichi the Witch, Volume 1, written by Osamu Nishi with art by Shiro Usazaki. This is from the IRCB Reading Challenge. If you're not aware of that, you should check it out on our Goodreads or on our Story Graph, where we have a challenge of books that we want people to read, 24 books for the year, from a list of books selected by the IRCB crew, as well as some of our patrons, and then a book that meets each of the monthly themes that go through this month. This book in particular was picked by our good pal Furret, who recommended this and said, hey, is it okay if this book hasn't come out, but it's maybe one of the best books on the Shonen Jump app right now? And I said yes, and now it's out and collected. So I'm finally going to read it, even though I'm going to read it on the Shonen Jump app. But the pitch for this book is: magic is alive and well in the world inside known beings known as magics. By completing a magic's trial, a witch can gain its power. However, only women can become witches or use magical items. All that changes one day when a young man named Ichi turns the world on its head by defeating an infamous magic and gaining its magical powers. Are you guys not already sold on what this book is? Because I am. Supposedly this is very, very good. It's like 84 chapters live on the Shonen Jump app, so I'm probably just going to power through the first volume and just keep going until I get to the end. Furret usually recommends really, really good books. Like I've never been disappointed by a book that they've put on our reading challenge in the past. And especially when it comes to manga, they are like I read everything on Shonen Jump, so you cannot dispute my arguments on what I say is good or bad because I've read everything. And I appreciate that, So yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun. I'm very excited to talk about it with them as well as some of the other folks on our Discord. But Ichi the Witch Volume 1, that's what I'm digging through. I'm actually going to complete the IRCB Reading Challenge for a change this year, and this is me just knocking another one off the list, so I'm pumped. Anyways, let's move on. We're here to talk about this other book that you guys did called Death to Pachuco. Henry, you wrote it. Rachel, you drew it, and Lilo Ridge colored it. Could you tell us a little bit about this book for the folks at home who haven't already gone and checked out their copy from the library or bought it from their local comic book shop?
Yeah. Death to Pachuco is a Chicano noir based around the Sleepy Lagoon murder trial and the Zoot Suit riots. It's centered around a private investigator who gets hired by some of the by one of the people that are pinned for the murder of the Sleepy Lagoon, and they're kind of caught in a cat and mouse race between getting the killer and the person who kickstarts the Zoot Suit riots, and it's just a matter on who's going to get him first. And Ricky Talas needs to get him to confess to killing Jose Diaz, so that his client can get their kid back from a all-girls school that doubles as a prison. That was an actual facility that is still out here in LA.
Oh, it's wait. In the year 2026, this place still exists?
I mean, it's
Is
like
this...
not operating, but it's...
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, but they still have children's detention centers.
Yes.
right. Oh, that's
Right.
different. Yeah.
That's true. But yeah, no, I feel very lucky that we got to do a cool noir that was serendipitously in line with what was happening in 2024 with ICE, and kind of what happens in the book. I mean, a lot of Mexicans were profiled for the killing in the Sleepy Lagoon, and it's just one of those evergreen stories that will always feel relevant no matter when you read it.
I mean, that was the first thing I wanted to bring up is, like, you know, this is an incredibly poignant story, like, especially right now, and which is depressing in many, many ways. But like, how did you go about like researching this and like keeping yourself like focused not only on the story, but like maybe keeping in mind like how this would play out with what was happening in the world, you know, even in 2024?
Well, thankfully, it was not a thought that like entered my mind. It was just something that felt fun to do. Like I felt like a detective, and I felt like I was piecing together some historical events that are very much like in this insular world of Chicano history that is like touched upon in some pop culture, but it's not really expounded upon in American history. And thankfully, I met Rachel through her amazing work on Twitter, and getting to know her while working on Gil Thorpe, we realized that we both are really into history, and she was the perfect person to draw it because she had a respect of this time period and like a real affinity for it.
And so was it just the two of you going like nose down into a bunch of books and things? I guess like was there specific sources you guys worked with to try to make sure that you captured everything correctly throughout this?
I guess for the historical stuff, I did all that, and then Rachel was more of the aesthetic and kind of the scenes of like where things took place is where she kind of had to do her own research. But she has an amazing story about using her family's photographs.
Yeah, my grandfather was a young man in the 40s, and he like was a lifelong photographer. So he had all these photos of him and my grandmother while they were dating before they got married, and it's like early like 1940. And he ended up not serving because he was a chemical engineer. So he was just called too valuable for war efforts and stuff. But as a result, he had a lot of time to take photos. And one thing that I really liked about that, and this other photographer who worked in rural Arkansas between the 1920s through the early 50s, was seeing like working people in 40 stuff, but not so like Hollywoodified, and not like bells and whistles. And I wanted to have that, and I wanted to show like, working people looking nice, but not also like wearing sequins and feathers during the day. As much as those are great to see in Hollywood movies of that era, but I wanted it to be a bit more grounded, but still showing the dignity. And like Mike DesFarmer's work was, I would say, just as important as seeing my grandfather's work. Because like I said, he was just a studio photographer, but just an incredibly gifted one. I mean, his work elevates to art, but it's a lot of like guys about to go off to war and their sweetheart of their wives, and they're all in their best dress, they're in their uniforms, and you just get like a much better sense of like what working people's like actual Sunday best looked like.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That kind of answers my question, because I think what stood out to me, especially in the artwork, was the fashion and the style. Like, it really captured that era. So that makes total sense that if you had basically firsthand documents of how people dressed back then, that makes sense. It looks this way. I was really impressed by that. The way you captured the fashion. Yeah.
It really like kind of, I'm sorry to interrupt, Rachel, but
oh no, go for it, Henry.
Working with Rachel, it was something that was like, for the first time I can talk to somebody and say, hey, I really want fashion to be a third character in this book. And then when you look at other people's comics, everyone's kind of wearing like a button up and Converse, and it just shows like there are some things you can really excel in some aspects in comics that a lot of people aren't really thinking about. And I always hope that kind of stands us apart from everything else you're reading.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I think it definitely felt like a book of its time, which is like a strange thing to say. Like, obviously it takes place at a different time, but like really the whole thing starting with like, oh, here are these folks in zoot suits and stuff, and you really like leaned on it when you saw certain characters. And it's interesting because I am just an ignorant person who grew up in the Midwest, and I feel like the only time I had ever heard Zoot Suit before was in like the song Zoot Suit Riot, which
Cherry
never...
Poppin' Daddy Swing Revival Band.
Exactly. Like, and it was now connecting it all. Like, Henry, you filled in a blank space in my mind with this book that you guys have worked on, you and Rachel. So thank you for that. I appreciate it. I'm curious though, like, you've worked, Henry, on historical books before, right? Like you worked on Lavaz de Mayo, and the other book that you mentioned. I mean, like, what was the difference in writing those books versus writing this one? Like, you focused on the noir side of things. Like, how did you have to change the way you put this book together in order to like fit the genre, or do you feel like it was just the same?
Yeah, I mean, this was a complete departure of everything I've ever done. Like, I took a BBC masterclass that Alan Moore did with them, and I really was like feeling like I was kind of reusing the same tools, and I really wanted to find new tools and new ways to express myself. And one of the lines I'm most proud of is, "Now's not a good time to be a Mexican." And that wasn't completely inspired from that class. The difference between this and everything else is La Voz de Mayo and all, Huelga is all based on reality. So there is like a little bit more of a shield that you have to have when it comes to that, because these things actually happen. You also don't want to misrepresent or misinterpret these actual events and these actual people. Like, Dolores is still with us, so I don't want her to read this comic and be like, hey, that's not how it went down. Or at least, hopefully she sees it. And I know her lawyers have seen it. So it's one of those things where I do want there to be like some respect and some like, I have some give. But with Pachuco, it was a complete like fabrication of the facts. And it was really kind of like the same respect that those noir people have, and you get to like, tango with these ideas, and to have Rachel do it in such an incredible fashion. I feel like issue 2 is my favorite issue of the whole series, but my favorite moment is the 9-panel double page spread of these people like living their lives and dancing. And
yeah. That scene in particular really snapped me into focus for the book. And I know it's a little further in, but like, I really got the like, oh, this is like about people, like in a weird way, like, you're showing them not in like beats of the story, but just living a piece of their life is just really, really beautiful. It's really well done.
Thank you.
So you want to have those moments, and you really, it's harder to have that in facts and nonfiction, just because it's very much a, how do I explain something that is real while respecting the events and being able to step aside and say I'm proud of the art. And with Pachuca, it was like we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. But while the process isn't always fun, but the end result is
as long as the
is
readers
great.
are having fun within reason.
Right.
That's all that matters.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, speaking to like how you're able to capture that time period and that location, I was curious if were there any noir movies or stories you kind of look to as reference or were inspired by that?
Yeah. Sorry,
Okay.
you just opened a whole can of worms. The next
Great.
45 minutes, you guys are held captive.
Cool. I'll sit back. I don't have to talk.
Yeah, I have a whole ass film playlist, but Double Indemnity was the number one. Absolutely.
Okay.
There was multiple scenes in his office that I was like looking at the lighting from the absolutely masterwork of noir. The Third Man, starring Joseph Cotton and Orson Welles, written by Graham Greene. This is another masterpiece of post World War II, technically, but it's an icon of a noir. There's a couple of scenes near the end that I pulled from that. Like I did like a pretty blatant rip-off / homage to The Third Man in one particular panel. And then just like In a Lonely Place was another one. Those are the three big main ones that just like those enveloping blackness. I remember Billy Wilder was talking about his cinematographer, and doing that in the Venetian blind lighting was a really great way to obscure the fact that they had no money. So they had a tiny budget, because I think this was Billy Wilder's first job directing. So he had been a screenwriter for a lot of classics, and this was his first direct. So he didn't get a huge amount of leeway, and he made a masterpiece.
We'll have to find a link to your Letterboxd later, Rachel. So that,
I don't update it that much. I mostly mouth off on Blue Sky, but I need to be about it. Yeah.
Sorry, Henry. Go ahead.
No, I'm always updating as soon as I watch a movie. Within
He's so
seconds.
much better than I am about it.
No, like that again. I mean, Rachel is such a breath of fresh air of someone I really enjoy working with, and I look forward to the next thing we get to do, because it's we both have a lot of the same sensibilities, especially when it comes to cinema noir. Raymond Chandler's Philip Marlowe series was a big influence. The Parker series, I got to read one of the books, and then I've always absorbed Darwin Cook's work. Brian Michael Bendis and Ed Brubaker, and just having some of them. I mean, Stray Bullets will always be my favorite comic of all time. And
I can see that.
And having kind of Rachel, kind of use that framework, like a lot of the times we're using panel grids, like Stray Bullets are using. And it was also the first time that I've used film as an inspiration. It's always been like, I get very frustrated when you read a comic and you're like, yeah, this was a movie pitch or a TV show pitch. And I'm always trying to respect the medium, but I think Rachel and I found ways to like make these inspirations our own, especially that Third Man reference. I really love that moment, and it's also just like the first time I've really liked my work in a way that I've always tried not to. You don't always want to like really appreciate, like, I guess you want to have enough distance from it to be like, yeah, this is good enough, and to move on. It's the first time that I've been able to look at something and be like, wow, this was a lot of what I wanted to do. And I really am glad we were able to kind of figure out that happy, medium between it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, there's a lot of moments in this book that I really like. I mean, like the last 2 pages of this book are like all timers for me. Like what a fantastic like bit that you did in that. I love that a lot. But yeah,
I remember when Henry first told me that's what he was envisioning. He's like, I'm not sure if this is a good idea, and like, tell me if I'm wrong. I'm like, no, I wouldn't change. It's perfect. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope people understand the ending, and I don't know. I don't mind spoiling it here. If you
Sure, I
if
mean
you
we've
don't
given
know.
people a warning now. There's a spoiler,
Okay,
coming for a
cool.
book that you should.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people that I noticed felt that like issue 3 was kind of a like, we don't understand this part, and I hope the part where you find that Ricky's was abandoned, and the woman singing that song is the same song you hear at the end, and you
Mhm.
realize Ricky has found his mom,
Mm-hmm.
and that's kind of that like noir ending I want. Like, no one got what they wanted, but there is a like sadness to Ricky again, where like he eats there every Friday just to see his mom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's
It's
very
a really
nice. Like
elegant
again,
ending.
exactly. One other thing I did want to mention in this book is the lettering is really interesting. Like I
Thank
really
you.
and I say that in like there's font choices and color choices. Like it's a really dynamically lettered book. What made you? I mean, because you could have done this whole book, and I'll say this: like, there's a lot of Spanish in this book, which I thought was really cool. And you could have done this book just like flat, plain, black and white bubbles, whatever. Like, what made you take the like leap to say we need to do more with the lettering here? Because I didn't see a letter or credit. So was that Rachel?
No,
Was that
I'm
you?
the
Henry?
letterer.
Was that you?
Oh my god!
Okay,
no,
I don't know.
It's
I don't know.
Henry.
That's
That
what I
is
wanted to
all
ask.
Henry. That was one of the biggest learning curves. Is Henry kind of us working together to get him to where we were doing enough good stuff with the lettering. And like someone I read on Blue Sky described letters as like the basis of the band of a comic, and it's like it's so fucking true. It's so fucking true.
Mhm.
The same jokes apply to basis too. How do you get a letter off your doorstep? You pay for the pizza.
Well,
That's a good
Henry
one.
also letters Gilthorpe, by the way.
Well, that's this is the thing. Like I think like I don't think that's an uncommon thing, right, for writers to also do some of their lettering. I know like John Layman did all the lettering through Chew, which I always found really impressive. So like I'm curious, like what made you, how did you go about picking fonts and colors and stuff? Like what made you want to add that extra level to the lettering beyond just having the bubbles fit in the page,
Yeah.
Honestly, it's because I didn't have to pay for it. I mean, I paid for the font, but like to tell a letter, like it's so. Also, like one of the parts that I appreciate in this process is, I get to refine my work based on what Rachel does.
Yeah,
So sometimes you don't need lines, or sometimes you do need some lines to, help everything be more cohesive. But Richard Starking's company, I do a credit I give a credit to the company. Also, Blambot is a big inspiration too.
Sure.
I paid 200. I think it was like $200, or I don't know, like some amount of money for the year. So every month you get a new font. So every issue had more fonts because I got new fonts.
Interesting.
But I wanted the Russian characters to have like a Russian type,
Right.
flair. Kiss and Tell is the font everybody has except for Eduardo Marinda and Chuco Loco. He gets his own his font is Shaky Kane's font, who I'm a big fan of. And it also has like a Wily Rabbit kind of look too. And then and then every month I got new fonts. But to tell a letterer to be like, can you use this font? Can you like move this here, or can you do this thing? I think is not enough for what they get paid for. And since I wasn't getting paid a page rate, I could justify the time I'm putting in to letter and to get it all through. But I learned when I was young, and I hate doing it, but I have to do it.
Well, it's really cool. I mean, like,
the plane, man.
Yeah, and this is the thing. I mean, like, I think it's weirdly underutilized, like, good, like I should say, good lettering is hard to come by in some fashions, right? Like
Yeah.
most books are lettered well. They're lettered like great, and I
It's
do not
functional.
want to. Yeah, and it
Mhm.
works. But like when you see that a little bit above and beyond, like there's a line to be rode about like you can go overboard with some of that stuff. But I feel like this book really rode that line perfectly well, because it allowed me to like remember context of different things, and like keep like it literally put different voices in my mind when I was reading things in different fonts. Like it really helped like just illuminate the rest of the book. So like I really have to commend you because it's so well done. Like it's so well done, like so interesting.
You're the first person to say that, so thank you.
Well, I've also said that because
No.
I would turn in pages to Henry and being like, I don't know, man, I don't feel like I achieved it. And then he letters it, and I'm like, oh wow, it looks fucking great
Lord.
now. Like it's just Henry lettered it, and now it suddenly makes sense to me.
Right. No, so thank you, Rachel, for always being very kind about that. But I have not. No one's picked up on that outside of
Philistines.
our of our very biased bubble.
Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, we talk about this all the time on the show, and just like letterers are kind of like unsung heroes in some ways, the same way that colorists can be and editors can be and stuff. It's like when you see something done really, really well, it is very easy to completely ignore it because it feels so natural to the book. You wouldn't even notice that it was different because it hasn't been done wrong or in a way that bothers you. So when it's done right, like I have tried very hard to make sure I recognize it. So that's my long and short to say, Henry, you've done a great job, and I'm just going to keep saying it. You have to accept it. It's too late. There's nothing you can do about it.
I will accept it. I do want to give a shout out to Will Dennis for being the glue that holds all three of us together, and
for sure,
giving Ricky a heroine. I mean, he was like, hey, this character is really cool, we should power him down. And I was like, yeah, let's because
I love
it's
that as a line. We gotta power him down. He's over 9,000.
Kakarots. Yeah. So it was very much like, oh, this is very much a Shakespeare, Sherlock Holmes like throwback. So let's make him Sherlock Holmes, but the Chicano Holmes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, did I catch it right that he does live at like 219 Baker Street or something like that? Did I see
mean,
that
if you're a Sherlock Holmes fan, and there was a Baker Street into the Chavez Ravine, I looked it up, so it's not.
Okay.
So it's actually historically accurate.
That's amazing. That's incredible.
Amazing.
You're one of two people that have realized that he lives in Sherlock Holmes' house in L.A.
After 10 years, I'm justified in saying I'm good at reading comic books. Okay, thank you. Paul, last question for you before we wrap this up here.
I was kind of curious if there's any recommendations you'd have, comics, movies, or books for people who want to learn more about this particular area of history or this event or something like that. Whatever you researched or something else that might be good for people who want to learn more about this.
That's a good question. I'm going to look it up. Well, we also, in the back of the graphic novel, there is a there is a $700 artifact that I scanned at the library.
Right.
That someone gifted me, and I put it in the book. I mean, that is a good resource. But while Rachel is talking, I'm going to look up the.
I guess what I would recommend, it wasn't a direct source for us, but I had seen it, is this really awesome movie that isn't talked about enough. It was made during the Blacklist era by blacklisted screenwriter, director, producer, actors, and it's called Salt of the Earth. I believe it takes place in Arizona, but it's about a largely, almost entirely Hispanic workforce in the coal mine. I think I don't know if they're coal mines, but they're mines that they're attempting to unionize, and they have one white person who's their union leader, and otherwise the entire town is against them because the mine supports all of the economics of the entire area. And the movie itself is incredible. It has like almost this documentary style naturalism, and just the performances are so not Hollywood in a really refreshing way. Like it's just and also its backstory is crazy because multiple political entities tried to get this thing shut down. They ended up deporting the lead actress, who was this highly acclaimed Mexican actress, on trumped up
Wow.
charges. It's just an incredible movie. It was on Amazon streaming years ago. I don't know if it still is or if Internet Archives picked it up, but it's called Salt of the Earth. It's all about unionization, about the blacklist, even though it technically isn't, but it's one of the very few movies, especially of that period, like the early 50s, of like humanizing migrant workers, union workers, immigrants in a way that doesn't feel like talking down or, like caricaturizing them in a different way. I mean, they're real people. One of the best subplots is about the miners' wives end up being put in prison and for supporting their husbands, and they don't have anyone to care for their children, so they're all holding their children in prison.
Oh, wow.
And it also is like, as a result of that experience, they start to become like, hey, we're not just your servants at home, we're equal partners in in our marriages. I mean, it's just I can't recommend it enough, and I do feel like there is a dialogue between that movie and Death to Pachuco, even though Death to
Excellent,
Pachuco
okay.
is the decade prior.
I have
Yeah.
I have never heard of this.
I told you about it,
Wow.
but I maybe
Really?
mentioned it in passing. I don't think I've had like this sustained, but I definitely mentioned it to you.
Okay. I will be looking for this. I put it in your chat.
Sure.
It's called Women in Zoot Suit, Catherine S. Ramirez. It would have been very easy, like Zoot Suit and everything else that's come before it, to talk about Henry Levis and the guys. But where I wanted to stand apart was to focus on the girls that were wards of the state until they were 21 years old. So, Women in the Zoot Suit by Catherine S. Ramirez is, I think, a good book if you can find it. It is a rare text.
Okay.
I'm lucky that it's in LA County Library Chicano Resource Center. But I think there is a lot to be said about the women that were traumatized, brutalized, and were kind of the scapegoats of the event.
Nice.
Okay.
Well, thanks for the recommendations.
Yeah.
This I'll make sure all this stuff ends up in some form of our show notes, and it's just for folks who are interested. I guess to wrap things up here, then, what is next for the both of you two, and where can people find you on the internet? I guess Rachel, I'll start with you again.
Right now we're just doing Gilthorpe together while we end up deciding if we're fully recharged to decide the next big thing. Otherwise, I'm working on 2 different animation projects on 2 indie films, and
nice.
you can catch me on. Thank you, and catch me on Blue Sky and Instagram, especially if there's a big red carpet to cover. I rate red
Gotcha.
carpet photos.
Perfect.
Henry, what about you? What's? I mean, you guys are both working on Gilthorpe. Anything else
Yeah.
on your table, and where can people find you on the internet?
You could find me on Blue Sky and Instagram. My newsletter is kind of the best place. Latinx Press, Button Down, I think is or at your local comic shop. That's where I love to tell people to find us. But yeah, Gilthorpe is a Monday through Friday syndicated comic strip that we do. We're well ahead, and we're really there's going to be a fun prom scene happening, and we're going to be going into a wedding in July. Huelga, the story of Dolores Huerta and Sal Castro is coming out August 5th through Good Trouble Comics. Andrew Aiden, Kelly Sudaconic, and a medley of other amazing creators who've created this publishing company to tell nonfiction stories. And that's it. I don't really have anything else going on. I look forward to ruining another year of Rachel's life. Crazy idea that I want to do.
My dad used to have this saying of like, Rachel, like not seeing you is like having a not having a broken leg. Like once it's back to normal, I miss it. Like, anyways, my dad's a jerk, so that's what I say for working with Henry. But with love, call me.
Yeah, it's clear you guys care about each other. That's great. You're like siblings. I love it.
He's way smarter than my actual brothers.
We'll make sure we clip that and send that over to them. Yeah. Well, I thank you both for joining us today. This has been a fantastic conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Really loved reading the book. And for folks of you that haven't checked it out, Death To Pachuco, it's out at your local comic book shops. You should be able to get it from your library. Get the single issues, get the collected edition. It's a fantastic book. You won't regret it. So thanks to Paul for joining me today. Thank you again, Rachel and Henry, for being here. Thank you to Brian for proof listening. Thank you to our good pal Zander for editing the show. And until next time, comics are good, and so are you.